All right, so today I'm going to talk about three tests slash assessments that every like real estate professional should take and consider in their business, and I'm also going to give like a bonus assessment and a bonus test. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's essential and it's important. Like if you're doing business to understand, like one yourself, right? Like one of my favorite quotes is from is know thyself, Oracle of Delphi, right? Like the more you know about yourself, the more you can better serve others, right? So it's important that we understand this stuff, right? And I find that people that are serious and that are doing really successful, they understand themselves, right? There are like common traits. They have confidence and stuff like that. They know their strengths, they know their weaknesses. So that's why I'm bringing this up because I find it essential. And these tests that you're going to see today, these are tests that help me in my business, right? And I also find that people that are successful align with these tests. So I suggest these tests and assessments to different types of people, different types of personalities, and one thing that I've found is that the people that are like quote quote not successful or not serious, they complain about these things. It's like, oh my god, that's not me, and they're like very wishy-washy, and that's even what the test suggests, right? Even the assessments. Now, the thing I'm so it's important to understand that the test and the assessment is not, maybe it's not going to be exactly everything that you do, but generally it can pretty much sum you up, right? And it depends, oh, it might depend on where you are in your life. You might be at a down point, you might be at an up point. These things can fluctuate and change, but generally, right, when you are serious, when you are successful and you know yourself, you're going to remain consistent as well, right? So me, like my same personality and my same behaviors shows up across each of these assessments consistently because I'm that consistent. I'm stable in my energy, I'm stable in my emotions. So I'm going to switch over to the screen so you can see here what I'm talking about. First, I'm going to introduce, you see on the screen, this is my website, right? So when I introduce myself, where if somebody wants to learn more about me, I have a personal website, jeromelewis.com, right? This is my website, and I just send them over here. If you want to learn about me, you can scroll through this website and learn pretty much anything about me personally, right? All of my stuff is here, speaking engagements, different things that I've done. Now, what I want to do here is I'm going to scroll back up, and what you're going to see, like when you're scrolling through this stuff, right? So I'm very consistent. Again, like I said, one of my favorite quotes, know thyself. I'm supposed to update this. I did get a criticism for that because this is not my quote. This is from the Oracle of Delphi. Know thyself. This is probably my like favorite quote of all time because it's important to life, right? So know thyself. I let people know. I quickly, easily, right? So I'm a marketing professional. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to establish myself. Who are you? Establish you as a personality. I am a millennial. So I quickly let people know that I'm a millennial. Some people might not like me. That's okay, right? Some people will like me. Some people will identify with me as a millennial. That's okay, right? You can't please and you can't serve everyone, right? I let them know, my specialties in technology. And then I get into like my personality, right? So I like to make sure people understand that I'm an introvert, right? I am an introvert, so I have to do things a specific way, right? I need to charge up my energy and I get best results by working by myself and then going to exhaust that energy, right? And one thing I want to stop here is like a lot of people believe that introverts are quiet, quote, quote. Like that's a false like belief. Like we just kind of get our energy a certain way, right? Like I prefer not to talk. I just prefer to be by myself, to prepare by myself. That's how I charge up my energy, being by myself. I like to be by myself and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Doesn't mean I'm shy, doesn't mean I'm afraid. I just like to be by myself. I'm introverted. So, one of the things I like to do is I like to let people know, again, that is my personality. My personality, and I appreciate the Myers-Briggs. This touches more on the personality, and I want to tell you about DISC in a little bit, which this focuses on your behavior, right? And I get a lot of complaints. Oh my God, I'm not like that. And it's like, yes, you are, for the most part. I've seen this across the board, even corporate settings, they use these, right? So when I was in corporate world, they use these tests and they use these assessments. There are different versions, and one of the things was they didn't want to show me my behaviors because it had like a bunch of leadership qualities within it. So these things are pretty consistent. That's why the jobs make you take those assessments. They're building a profile on you and how you interact and how you will be interacting with your peers and others. So this is again, this is Myers-Briggs. This is my personality. If I open this up, right, I can open that up. and I could take you through like my personality in a little bit more detail. So I is Myers-Briggs is it stands for, you can see here these letters, right? So I'm ISFJ. I stands for introverted, right? So remember I said I'm introverted. S is observant, so I'm observant, right? F is feel, so yes, I do feel. People are like, oh my God, that guy is so heartless. I feel, right? So I'm so passionate because I don't want people to suffer. That's why I care so much. I empathize with other people, so I feel. Right, the opposite of feeling is like thinking. We'll kind of get there in a little bit. Then we have J, right? And some people like, oh, you shouldn't judge. Listen, reality is most of us judge. And the thing about me is I'm not afraid to judge. I'm perfectly okay with judging. And if you don't like it, you can accept it. Then you're not for me. And that's okay. Right. So combine all of these traits together, the 16 personalities, this website, 16personalities.com, they give me my type. They call me an assertive defender, right? So consistently you'll see across my many profiles that I'm assertive, right? I'm very assertive. I won't let people walk over me. I won't let people walk over each other. I don't let things go. I'm very assertive. I'm not passive at all. I'll speak up when I need to speak up, etc., etc., right? But I'm also a defender, so I do it, right? I'll sacrifice myself, right? Humility, embarrassment. I'll sacrifice myself for the sake of others. That's just my personality. That's how I am. And maybe I can change it, but I don't care. That's just how I am, right? It's naturally who I am. So here are the like in more detail ISFJ, right? So remember I said I'm introverted. So they kind of give you some numbers and play around, right? So I'm mostly introverted. I can be extroverted sometimes, but generally I'm mostly introverted. So I'm about 62% introverted according to this test. And you can take this test multiple times. You could come in here and it might change. The numbers might fluctuate. You might be at a point in life where you're just extremely extroverted or whatever. Who knows? But generally I'm pretty consistent, right? So that's the first one. Like I stands for introverted, right? On the other spectrum, you have E, which is extroverted. So I'm not E. I know I'm not E. I'm just I, right? Next, we go down and they're talking about your mind up here. Next, we're going to go down here and we're talking energy. So you can see here, they give the descriptions. This trait shows where we direct our mental energy, right? So intuitive is more feeling, right? People go with what they feel and kind of their emotions, kind of. And I'm more of a, like, the way I direct my mental energy is by being observant. So one time I had a intuitive personality, like a reading, and the best way to sum it up was the woman said, she said, you have an intuitive mind, right? So most of the time when we're talking about intuition, we're thinking about the gut and the stomach, right? The heart. We're thinking about that mid area. And I know that that's not where my intuition comes from. My intuition comes from the mind. I observe and I put pieces together. I can see stuff with my mind, right? And it kind of comes from, it's a little bit weird because I could kind of see things like happening like in my mind. It's like this weird phenomenon that I can't necessarily explain, but when I see something, like, it's just certain things I know based on a piece of information that I saw or something like that, right? So I am observant and I direct my mental energy like in my mind, right? Whereas others might do it intuitively. So that's what the S stand for, right? They pulled the S from the word observant, right? So I'm IS, right? So far I am introverted and observant, right? Next, we're going to go down to how we make decisions and cope with emotions. Okay, right. So a lot of people believe, right, because I'm so direct. So we're talking about my personality right now, but you're going to see my behaviors are a little bit different. So a lot of people believe that I don't feel, but I definitely feel. I identify with people, right? However, I don't project my feelings on other people. So next, like the F is for feeling. I feel, right? That's how I make decisions and cope with emotions with the F. Surprisingly, and I thought I would be more of a thinking type, but it's just not who I am. I am a feeler. Next, we're going to go down to tactics, right? So this trait reflects our approach to work, planning, and decision making. So the last letter is J, right? So I'm very judgmental, right? How do we approach work, planning, and decision making? Judging. I judge, right? And let's expand this definition. Judging individuals are decisive, right? So if you see or you've seen some of my other videos, you know, right? When I get into this, I tell you I'm very decisive, I'm dominant. D, right? Judging individuals are decisive, thorough, and highly organized. That's me. I'm very organized. You're going to see in my behavior assessment how detailed and organized I am. They value clarity, predictability, and closure, preferring structure and planning to spontaneity, right? I hate that. People, oh, what's going on? Or like, let's have a plan. Let's work from something, right? I don't like that spontaneity, right? It's a little bit annoying. It's a little bit frustrating, right? So some people are like, oh my God, Jerome is so action oriented, but I'm action oriented based on a plan. I don't do things willy nilly without a plan, right? Then next we have, this is the identity, right? So this is where you learn that how assertive I am. I'm very assertive, right? This trait underpins all others, showing how confident we are in our abilities and our decisions, right? So I'm pretty confident, right? Sometimes people think I'm a little bit arrogant. I'm not. I'm just very confident in myself and what I'm capable of, right? So it's not that I just confident in me because I'm some amazing person. It's just that I'm so confident in the things that I can do, right? The things that I can do, I believe I can do anything, and that's what gives me that assertive personality. So let's expand that. Jerome is mostly assertive. Assertive individuals are self-assured, even-tempered, and resistant to stress, right? It takes a lot for me to start stressing out. They refuse to worry too much and do not push themselves too hard when it comes to achieving their goals. That's me. That is really me. So that is my Myers-Briggs slash 16 personalities personality, right? I'm a ISFJ, and I'm very assertive, 99% assertive, right? At one point it was like 98, but that number stays pretty consistent. I'm pretty assertive. Next, so they call me a sentinel slash defender. That's just my personality. Next, we have this is like the strategy, and let me expand on that. So the strategy determines how they approach everyday situations and achieve their goals. Click on strategy name to learn more. So I'm going to click on that just so we can explore it, right? So there you go. Confident individualists in love. So they start talking about you in love. Unlikely leaders, which is you're going to see a little bit later. I'm definitely a leader. So it's not always exactly right, but it is what it is. So uh, confident individualists tend to trust themselves. They enjoy their own company and don't mind spending time alone to pursue their interests. So you can see that consistency there, right? Introvert. Like I enjoy being by myself. Over time, this can give these personalities an impressive range of skills and interesting ideas, but these type take pride in their skills, right? So remember I said that I am not confident in myself per se. I'm confident in what I can do, and that naturally makes me confident in myself. They take pride in their skills for their own sake, not to impress others. So I really don't care what other people think about me. I'm not here to impress other people. I'm here for me. Who matters most to me? Me, right? People are like, Jerome, how could you do that? You're not embarrassed. You're not worried about. Nope. I matter the most, right? They tend not to see the point in social displays and bragging. This is me, 100%. 100%, right? I market and I do the social stuff because there is a need for it, right? But I hate bragging. I hate bragging. People are like, Jerome, why don't you share more? I don't like it. It's annoying to me, right? I want to show you what I can do. It's not about what I've done. It's about what we're going to do, what I can do, right? While they're proud of who they are, these personality types don't always feel the need to prove themselves to anyone else. I don't. I have no reason to prove myself to people. They prefer substance to superficiality and personal honesty to playing along, right? I don't want to play along with anything. I want honesty, right? So that's my personality. What we're going to do next is we're going to get into, so this is back to my website. So proudly I display everything about me. Not everybody's going to like you and identify with you, and that's okay. So this is my behavior assessment, right? So this is more about behavior, right? And it talks about how you handle I mostly got this from it's mostly coming from a business perspective, but it's also very relevant to your personal life as well, right? So this is like my full test. I can kind of click on here and go through some of these things. But before we do that, you can see like this profile disc. I'm very high in D, right? So D is this. The red is D, right? And They say D is for dominance, and they also say it's for decisiveness. So that's me. I'm very high in D when it comes to business, when it comes to situations. I'm very decisive. I'm very dominant, right? Let's get to the bottom line. Let's figure this out. Let's solve the problem. And I'm also very detailed, right? So I'm very detailed. C, the C stands for compliance, right? I'm exacting. I'm systematic. I'm very accurate. I'm very particular. Well, you said, did I? Did I really say that? Well, you said something like that. Okay, don't tell me what I said something like. Tell me what I said, right? Let's be exact. Let's cut to the point. Let's get to the facts, data, be accurate, right? So that's me. You can see that here on this assessment. Like this is a brief snapshot. I'm going to open it up just so you can see in more detail how it works. So one of my mentors, his name is Mark Cumberland, he sent me this test. I really appreciate him. This test costs quite a bit of money depending on where you go. So it shows how you behave in business interactions, right? So potential strengths or behavior obstacles to behavioral selling success. So here we go. Let's focus on some of my weaknesses, right? Since we talked about my strengths, right? So in the closing phase, they're talking about sales, right? In the closing phase, Jerome may tend to have a tendency to what? Use his single favorite closing strategies, right? I'm very exact. I know what works, so I stick to that, right? He may resist utilizing all the skills he has, right? I like to find one thing and I like to use that. Not answer objections to the buyer's satisfaction. Close soon and sometimes too often. However, he will be able to close many sales that his competitors are too weak to close. Right? So none of us are perfect. We all have strengths and weaknesses, right? These are just my strengths and weaknesses. This is something about me. These are things about me, right? Jerome may be so direct in closing that he antagonizes some buyers, right? I get that kind of feedback all the time. Jerome was, oh my God, he hurt my feelings, right? The methodical buyer could be intimidated, right? So these people that move a little bit slow, I might be a little bit too impatient for them, right? And I can hurt them. I'm not supposed to be perfect. This is just the way I am, right? Let's find some other stuff. Here's my value to an organization, right? Always looking for logical solutions. Very consistent, right? Forward looking and future oriented, will join organizations to represent the company. And this is what I do. I don't come to represent for myself. So I'm thinking about a particular company that I was doing business for, and I represented that company very well, right? I did not put myself at the forefront of anything, right? I got some spotlight, I got some fame, whatever you want to call it, but I never put myself first. It was always about that company and that organization, and that's how I am. Even my job before that, it was always about the company, the organization. Let's move it forward, right? Next, presents the facts without emotion, right? That's my value. Let's get to the facts. Emotions don't matter. Usually makes decisions with the bottom line in mind. Exactly. So accurate. Thinks big and innovative. Right? Checklist for communicating. So I have a friend Adam, he just posted, he was like, what's one of your like pet peeves about people contacting you, marketing, sales? And one of my pet peeves is people wasting my time. So these are some checklists for communicating to me. If you want to talk to me, you want to get my time, this is how you do it, right? Be clear, be specific, brief and to the point. Listen, show a sincere demeanor, read body language, look for impatience or disapproval, right? So I'm trying to work on this my disapproval and my impatience, but I do show if I disapprove of something or I don't like something, I show it in my body language, right? Ask specific, preferably what questions. Use expert testimonials, right? I need some proof. Verify that for me. Pros and cons. Motivate and persuade by referring to objectives and results. You will always hear me say this, results. I'm very results oriented. Objectives and results. You want to impress me? Show me some results. Show me objectives, right? I don't care about, oh, this is how I feel, my emotions. I don't care about those things. I care about results. Next, support and maintain an environment where he can be efficient. So, build my environment. Let me thrive in that environment. Give me what I need and leave me alone. Details, show me in writing. Stick to business. Let me decide if I want to talk socially, right? I don't want to talk to a lot of people socially. Stick to business. How are you doing? Don't worry about how I'm doing. Let's fix this business. Let's fix this project, right? Oh my God, it's so wow. Then I'm not for you, right? This is me. These are strengths and weaknesses. It is what it is. Uh, don't be up in my personal space unless you're like a pretty woman. Then you can come up in my face, maybe. Right? Support the results, not the person. That exactly. If you agree, it's not about people. I had this friend and he was like all about these people. I'm like, look, man, I don't care. I'm worried about the results. The people don't matter. The results matter. All right, so these are some ways not to communicate, which we kind of went over a little bit, but you can see them in detail here, right? Ways not to communicate. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Please. Don't ask me rhetorical questions. Don't ask me questions that are useless. If you're going to ask me, if you want to ask a question, make sure there's a legitimate, it can be answered legitimately. Don't be superficial. Don't let disagreement reflect on me personally, right? So don't attack me personally. I don't attack you personally. I won't attack you personally. Don't do this. Don't be disorganized. If you're coming to me, come correct. Come organized. Don't make statements that you cannot prove, right? Don't just say stuff, because guess what? I want to hit you with, show me how. Where the facts? Where the data? Where's the statistics, right? Don't leave things open to communication, to interpretation. Be exact. Be precise. What does that mean? I'm going to ask for clarity. Don't ramble on and don't waste time. Don't pretend to be an expert if you're not, right? Don't fake it till you make it or none of that weird stuff. I just did a podcast with my friend Adam, and he brought this up. The fake it till you make it syndrome. A lot of people do that. Don't fake. If you're not an expert, don't act like it. Be authentic. That matters. Don't use inappropriate buzzwords. Yeah, I hate buzzwords, right? Buzzwords, bad phrases. Oh, you. I just hate it. Oh, like there's a phrase. I have a colleague, and he's always talking about this phrase within the industry that people like to throw around: generational wealth. And it's like, who cares? What does that mean? You want to build wealth? That's what that means? Okay, just say that. And this, don't use high speed, intense inputs. I don't really know what that is, but I guess don't do it. Don't do it. So these are some tips. Prepare your presentation in advance. These are some tips for me, right? Stick to or to interact with me. Prepare your presentation in advance. Stick to business. Be accurate and realistic. Don't exaggerate, right? How to create tension and upset me, I guess. Giddy, like get out of my face with that. Be casual, informal, loud. Don't waste my time with small talk. Don't be disorganized or messy, right? Those are, and you can look at those a little bit later. So, self-perception. This is how I perceive myself. Pioneering, assertive, competitive, confident, positive, winner. Those are ways I see myself. Other people's perception of me, right? This is how other people see me. They see me as demanding. They see me as egotistical, which I don't care, right? They see me as nervy. I don't really know what that means. And they see me as aggressive, which is okay too. And this is the moderate perception. Now these are the extreme, right? And this comes up sometimes. Abrasive, arbitrary, controlling, opinionated. I've heard this one several times, and I can be, but just showcasing that there. So descriptors, and this you already saw this, but this is me, right? This all aligns up with how I am, right? So I'm high D, so this is like the line is here. I'll go all the way up, and I'm like a 70 in the D. My I is all the way down is like a 6. I'm very matter of fact, suspicious, logical, skeptical, calculating. Like I'm all of these things. Stable, so I'm pretty stable. Next, we saw this: exacting, systematic, accurate, open-minded, balanced, judgment, diplomatic. So I'm pretty exacting, right? Jerome is ambitious in his approach to selling, displaying a strong will, and has a need to win against all obstacles. He has a tendency to confront prospects and desire to control the sales situation. He needs a territory and products that will constantly challenge him. Exactly. I need to be challenged. That's why I do this stuff. I don't want to get comfortable. Jerome sees no need to change his sales approach from his basic style as it's related to solving problems and his challenges. Contacts. We're not going to read all of that, but you get the point here. So that is my DISC behavioral assessment, right? And I wanted to bring that up Because a lot of people they talk, oh my God, that's not how I am, right? When I'm about to work with somebody like long term, I have them take these assessments so I can understand their personality. For the most part, I can kind of get an understanding, engage people and how they are because I'm so familiar with this as well as the personalities. But if I don't know, right, and if we're going to work long term, guess what? You're going to take one of these tests because it's better for me as well as you. It's going to take some time for you to do it, but it's the best benefit for everyone involved, right? I have a colleague, her name's Karen. She's like, Jerome must be a high D. Like, and she's a serious person. She's a high producer. Because guess what? She understands the importance of utilizing this strategy in her business. She was like, Jerome must be a high D because I forget exactly what she said, but she knew right off the bat how important it was to understand this behavior assessment in business, right? Especially for entrepreneurs. Next, what we're going to do is I'm going to close that one down and I'm going to go over to the five love languages, right? So this is like a personal test for people, and I like to recommend that people take this test for like their love lives, but it can also be very relevant to business life too. So it's important to understand this. Now I know, like for a long time, remember I'm very consistent. For a long time, my primary love language was acts of service. So in order to show me love, the way the let's read this here, right? So, the premise of the Five Love Languages book is quite simple. Different people with different personalities give and receive love in different ways. By learning to recognize these preferences in yourself and your loved ones, you can learn to identify the roots of your conflicts, connect more profoundly, and truly begin to grow closer, right? So, it's not necessarily for business, but it can be helpful in business, right? Understand. So, I know that my personality, like if you want to show me love, for a long time it was like acts of service. I need you to do things for me, right? So it really means something if you cook for me. It really means something if you iron my shirt. It really means something if you serve me a plate. Those things really mean a lot to me, and for a long time that was my primary. I think it still is my primary love language, but right now, right, I'm lacking like I'm appreciating more now physical touch. So I desire physical touch, so it's changing. So I think physical touch is like probably secondary, and then quality time, which was my other love language, I think that's gone down a little bit. The next love language is receiving gifts. So it's exactly how it sounds. So if your love language is gifts, you show love by giving gifts, and you feel love by receiving gifts, right? Next, quality time. This is giving people your undivided attention, right? So that meant a lot to me for quite some time. Now it doesn't mean as much. But if your love language is quality time, time means a lot to you, and you want to give as well as receive undivided attention. Next, you have words of affirmation, and words of affirmation are they're essentially compliments, right? And words of affirmation are extremely powerful when you compliment people on in front of others and behind their back. So when those kind of people that love the words of affirmation, when their love language is words of affirmation, they really feel loved when you catch them off guard with genuine compliments, right? In front of people, behind the scenes, stuff like that, right? That one is pretty low. I think that is my least that's like my fifth language. I really don't care about words of affirmation that much, right? It really has to be a genuine compliment. Next is physical touch. I kind of talked about this, and some people kind of automatically jump to and assume that physical touch is just about like like romantic touch, sexual touch, and it's not. Physical touch is just physical touch. That's what it is. So this means a lot. Something that I really appreciate is uh, just physical touch, like rub my shoulder, rub my feet. Um, I don't know, just physical touch. I really desire that right now, so I don't know. I just like, man, I could really use some physical touch. It's maybe because I don't know. So physical touch really means a lot to me right now, and it's coming pretty close to acts of service, right? Pretty close to acts of service. So those are the five love languages. That's a for you like personally to kind of learn about your personality. It's helpful for you to learn if you're like with a particular individual, right? It's going to really help. And I always like when people kind of get in relationships, I always suggest like, look, you should read the five love languages with that other person. So it's a cool project for you to do with that other person or that person that you're interested in. It gives you something to talk about, and it also helps you understand each other, right? Now, next, what we're going to do is we talk about the five love languages. We're going to talk about one more test, and we talk about the Enneagram test. And Bethelen gave me this suggestion. She's like talking about the Enneagram. I think I brought up DISC or Myers-Briggs, and she's like, "Oh, I like the Enneagram." I'm like, "Okay, I'll take that test." And this is the Enneagram, and I like this test too. It is synonymous to the to the other test that you saw for me, right? So Enneagram, I scored high in 1, 8, and 5. I believe this is in a certain order. They were all relatively close though. Relatively close. So I'm gonna head over to this website. This is EnneagramInstitute.com. So my numbers are 1. So 1 is a reformer. Reformers are rational, idealistic, principled, purposeful, self-controlled, and perfectionistic. Am I perfectionistic? Perfectionistic. I can be, right? However, I've had some training and some coaching that has allowed me to kind of let that go a little bit. I'm still detailed, right? So I would rather just say the word detail, but that is me as a reformer, right? I'm high in 1, 8, and 5. So the 1, really quickly, I'm just going to go over these quick bullet points. So 1, my basic fear, being corrupt or evil, defective. And that's true. Basic desire, to be good, to have integrity, and to be balanced. Let's go over to now. Let's go check out the 8, right? So I was a high in 1, 8, and 5. So I'm going to do 8 next. 8 is a challenger. So this is synonymous to what? My DISC test, right? Remember, there's a lot of consistency in who I am and the personality because I'm very stable, right? So 8, the powerful, dominating type. Self-confident, decisive, willful, and confrontational. I'm very, very confrontational, right? And a lot of people receive this word incorrectly. I'm not confrontational where I want to combat people, but I like to solve problems, right? Confrontational, tending to deal with situations in an aggressive way. Look, and then they got hostile and argumentative. I guess I am. Whatever. Who cares? Basic fear of being harmed or controlled by others. Basic desire to protect themselves, to be in control of their own life and destiny. This absolutely means the world to me. I have to be in control of my own life, my own destiny. I was in a relationship with this woman, and she was telling me like about fate and the stars and all this weird stuff, and it just did not sit well with me. Like, what does that stuff mean? You trying to tell me that I can't control my life, I can't make my own decisions? It was a very frustrating time. I still don't believe that stuff. There's some fate, there's some stars and some stuff, but generally we have control over our own lives. Next, I am a 5. So the 5, they call the 5 thinkers and investigators, right? So the intense cerebral type, right? I'm very cerebral, perceptive, innovative, secretive, and isolated, right? So there I am. That's something that jumps out. People always say, "Oh, you're so secretive." I am secretive. I am isolated. So remember, you talked about like being introverted. That's me. Basic fear, being useless. Oh man, yeah, I would hate to be useless. Helpless or incapable. So those are some of my basic fears as an investigator. Next, basic desire to be capable and competent, right? So that's me as an investigator. I scored high in the 1, 8, and a 5, and that is the Enneagram test. So I appreciate you watching. I wanted to go over those personalities and I wanted to go over those tests because people always ask me, "Oh, can you explain what does that mean and how?" And the reason why I get so many results and the reason why I do so well is because I know myself and I understand myself. And because I understand myself, right? When it's time for me to project who I am into these tests and these assessments, guess what? It's synonymous and it can tell me even more in even more detail who I am and how I operate, right? So a lot of times, again, I find that the people that are not serious, they complain about these tests. They complain, "Oh my God, that's not me. Oh, this thing is wrong." It's like, okay, yeah, you one individual has worked for and has made people tens and millions of dollars, and you just happen to be that one individual that is not working for it, right? No, it doesn't work that way, right? So it's normally a self internal thing that people have to work on, and I find like these tests have worked really well for me as an individual, and they have worked really well for me suggesting and giving them to other people to kind of employ in their business or even their personal life, right? So again, there you can see we talked about behaviors and personalities. We talked about Myers-Briggs, aka 16 personalities. I am an ISFJ, ISFJ, and I am high in assertiveness, right? High A. I'm a 99% assertive. Next, we talked about DISC and the behavioral assessment. So you normally hear me bring up those two, but we got into detail about others. I'm a high D, right? High D means decisive and dominant, right? I care about the bottom line. I care about results. After that, I am very detailed, right? So I'm very exact. I'm very particular. I'm all about the details. Next, we jumped into like kind of a personal test, which is the five love languages. And everybody should kind of, if you have a mate or a spouse and you haven't read that, you should read it, right? And even if you have read it, it is nice to go through that again. Nice to go through that book again as a project and just something to talk about. I was I'm primarily acts of service. And then, so in terms of like maybe friendship, I would be acts of service. Then in terms of a relationship, I would probably be physical touch, right? Then we're going to jump down to the Enneagram, which my colleague Beth Ellen, she likes, and I took that test and I was happy with those results too. Enneagram, I was a 1, which is a reformer. I was an 8, which is they call it a leader, challenger, right? Then I was a 5, which is a thinker and a investigator, right? So I'm gonna close us out. Thank you for being on this live stream. I appreciate you, and also like I created this video, so if somebody wants to learn me and understand who I am as a person, my personality, you can just watch this video. So I appreciate you watching. And I'll see you on the other side. Bye bye.